We were talking about feeling like we're living in a sci-fi movie lately.
Yeah, kind of crazy, right?
Well, get this. Today we're going deep on one of the big reasons why. Artificial intelligence.
AI. Huh. Sounds good.
And not just like surface level stuff. We're talking the practical side, the actual applications.
Oh, cool. How are we tackling this?
We're using these Microsoft Learn training materials, kind of like our guide through the AI jungle.
Makes sense. They had some good stuff on there.
Yeah.
It really is a perfect time to dive into AI.
I think so too, especially since, it's not always obvious, but we're all interacting with AI every day.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, sometimes without us even realizing it.
Totally. And that's kind of the point of this deep dive, right?
Yeah. Peel back the curtain a little bit. See how it's already woven into our lives.
Exactly. Like those streaming services. How do they know what we want to watch next?
I always wonder that. Is it magic?
Or those chatbots that just appear when you need help online.
Oh, yeah. They can be super helpful, actually.
But maybe we should back up a bit.
Right. Back to basics.
For those who haven't spent their weekends geeking out on AI tutorials, how would you explain what AI actually is?
How to sum it up? I'd say it's basically software that can do things humans can do.
So like think, learn, solve problems.
Exactly. But it's even more than that. AI can even get creative sometimes. It's pretty wild.
Oh, okay. So not just robots taking over the world then.
Nope. Way more nuanced than that. In fact, these Microsoft Learn materials, they break it down into these different categories they call workloads.
Workloads.
Yeah, it shows you how diverse AI really is, all the different things it can do.
All right, I'm definitely interested. So what are some of these AI workloads?
Let's see. Well, one of the big ones is machine learning.
I've heard that term thrown around a lot.
It's kind of the powerhouse behind a lot of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Machine learning lets software analyze tons of data, like a crazy amount of data.
Data. That's all I hear about these days. But what does it do with all that data?
Well, it finds patterns, looks for connections, and then, get this, it can make predictions about what might happen next.
Whoa, predict the future.
Not quite. But it's like how those weather apps can tell you it's going to rain. Sometimes they're surprisingly accurate, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Okay, so machine learning is about predictions. Got it. What else is there?
Let's talk about computer vision.
Okay, that one always sounds like something straight out of a movie.
It kind of is. It's AI that can actually see images and videos. Yeah. And not just see them, but understand them too.
Whoa, so that's how those self-driving cars work.
Yep. But that's just one example.
Really? What else can it do?
Facial recognition, analyzing medical images, even those filters we all use on our photos, that's all computer vision too.
Crazy. So it's basically giving computers a way to interact with the world visually.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing what they can do with images and videos now.
Okay, we've got machine learning, predicting things, computer vision, seeing the world. What else?
Oh, you can't forget about natural language processing. We usually just call it NLP.
NLP, huh? Okay, remind me what that one's all about.
Remember those chatbots we were talking about?
Yeah, the ones that pop up online.
NLP is what makes those work. It lets computers understand human language, both written and spoken.
So it's not just about responding to commands, it's actually understanding what we're saying.
Right. Think about virtual assistants on your phone, translation services, even software that can figure out if you're happy or sad based on what you type.
That's pretty powerful stuff. So AI is seeing, predicting, understanding us. What other mind-blowing things are hiding in these AI workloads?
There are a couple more. Document intelligence and knowledge mining. These are really interesting.
Ooh, those sound especially intriguing.
They are. Think about all the documents we deal with on a daily basis.
Don't even get me started. It feels never-ending. Contracts, medical forms, the list goes on.
Exactly. So document intelligence uses AI to automate all of that, extracting info, understanding it, even catching errors. Way faster than humans can.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about digitizing paper. It's about the AI actually getting what's in the document.
Totally. That could be huge for businesses and organizations drowning in paperwork.
I can imagine. What about knowledge mining?
That one's like having a super-powered research assistant. It can go through mountains of data, even if it's messy and unorganized, and pull out useful insights.
It's like Google, but on steroids.
Exactly. It can connect the dots in ways that humans just can't. Find hidden connections, that kind of thing.
Okay, now that is a superpower I wouldn't mind having. But wait, we haven't talked about generative AI yet, have we?
Right. We've saved the best for last. Generative AI is where things get really wild.
Spill the beans. What makes it so special?
It's not just about analyzing data anymore. Generative AI can actually create things. Think text, images, code, even music. It's like AI becoming an artist.
Wow, that's mind-blowing. I'm starting to understand why people are so excited about AI.
It's a pretty incredible field.
So, with all these different workloads and capabilities, where does Microsoft Azure fit into all of this?
Well, think of Azure like the toolbox for building and using all this amazing AI stuff.
It's a platform for making it all happen.
Exactly. It has services and tools for every single workload we talked about. Machine learning, computer vision, NLP, you name it.
So it's giving developers and data scientists the power to put all these concepts into action.
Right. It's pretty amazing what people are building with it.
This is all incredibly fascinating. But all of these AI workloads we've talked about, how do they actually work in practice? I mean, I get the concepts, but can you give me an example that would make sense to, say, a non-techie like me?
Okay, let me see. How about we take machine learning as an example? These materials use this analogy with wildflowers that's pretty easy to grasp.
Wildflowers. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Imagine scientists going out and taking thousands of photos of wildflowers. But they're not just taking random pictures, they're labeling each one with the name of the species.
So it's like creating a giant photo album of wildflowers with all the names neatly labeled.
Exactly. That labeled data is then fed into a machine learning algorithm.
It's like the algorithm is a student trying to learn all about wildflowers.
Perfect analogy. And all those labeled photos are its study guide.
Okay, I'm following so far. Then what happens?
Well, the algorithm analyzes all that data, all those images and labels, looking for patterns and connections. What it learns gets stored in what we call a model.
So the model is like the cheat sheet the algorithm creates after studying all those wildflowers.
Pretty much. It captures the knowledge it's gained.
So what's the point of all this? What can you do with the model?
Now, if you show the model a new wildflower picture, one it hasn't seen before, it can use what it learned to predict what species it is.
Whoa, so it's like the algorithm has become a wildflower expert itself?
Exactly. And that's how you get those apps on your phone that can identify plants on a hike.
Okay, that finally makes sense. And I'm guessing Azure Machine Learning is what makes all of this possible behind the scenes.
You got it. It's a platform that data scientists use to build these models, train them with data, and then deploy them so we can all use them.
Amazing. I'm starting to see how AI is changing things in so many different areas of our lives. But I'm curious, earlier we briefly mentioned a couple of really cool examples of AI in action.
Oh yeah, like what?
The Seeing AI app and that Starship Commander game. Can we dive into those a little deeper? I want to hear all about them.
Definitely. Let's start with Seeing AI. It's a great example of how computer vision can be used to help people.
Sounds awesome. Let's do it.
Welcome back. Ready for more AI awesomeness?
Oh, absolutely. Last time we were just getting to the cool stuff, like that Seeing AI app.
Right, using computer vision to help people with visual impairments. It's pretty incredible what it can do.
I know. I was blown away when we talked about it earlier, like being able to hear descriptions of the world around you, even recognizing faces and emotions.
It's like having a personal narrator guiding you through life. Pretty amazing, right?
It really is. But computer vision can do so much more than that, right?
Yeah, way more. Remember those tasks we talked about earlier?
The ones from the Microsoft Learn materials.
Exactly. Computer vision can handle a lot of different tasks, like image classification.
Okay, refresh my memory on that one. What exactly is image classification?
Basically, it's AI that can look at an image and tell you what's in it.
Sounds simple enough.
It is, conceptually, but the applications are super powerful. Think about the security cameras that can spot suspicious activity.
Right. No more security guards having to watch hours of footage. The AI can just flag the important stuff.
Exactly. Or how about medical imaging? AI can analyze scans and point out things doctors might miss.
Wow, like finding tiny tumors or something.
Yep. It's like having an extra set of eyes, but these eyes never get tired and can process information way faster than a human.
Okay, that's image classification. What else can computer vision do?
Well, there's object detection, which is kind of like image classification but on steroids.
How so?
Instead of just saying, hey, there's a dog in this picture, object detection can actually pinpoint the dog's location.
Like draw a box around the dog.
Exactly. And not just dogs. It can identify and locate all sorts of objects.
So that's got to be what's used in self-driving cars, right? To spot other cars, pedestrians, obstacles.
You got it. Object detection is essential for those cars to navigate safely. But it's used in other industries too.
Like where?
Retail, for example. Stores can track which products people are looking at, how they move through the store, all sorts of data.
It's like Big Brother, but for shopping habits. Kind of creepy, but also fascinating.
It is pretty wild. And then there's an even more advanced technique called semantic segmentation.
Okay, now we're getting into the really complex stuff.
It is pretty complex, but also super cool. Remember how we talked about computer vision giving machines the ability to see?
Yeah, like a digital eye.
Well, semantic segmentation is like giving those eyes the power to understand the world on a much deeper level.
Deeper how?
Instead of just identifying an object as a whole, it breaks down the image into individual pixels and labels each one.
Whoa, so every single pixel gets categorized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like going from a blurry picture to a super high definition image where everything is crystal clear.
And what can you do with that level of detail?
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
In medical imaging, it can help detect tumors with incredible precision. For self-driving cars, it creates super detailed maps of the environment.
Wow, that's some serious next level stuff.
It is. And all of this computer vision magic, it's powered by Azure AI Vision.
Right, Azure, Microsoft's cloud platform. So this AI vision thing, is that what developers use to build these computer vision solutions?
Yep. It gives them all the tools they need to build their own applications using computer vision.
So like pre-built models they can use.
Exactly. They don't have to start from scratch. Plus, they can customize those models for specific needs, so it's super flexible.
Sounds incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've covered computer vision. What about natural language processing, or NLP? We talked about that Starship Commander game where you can actually talk to the character.
Oh yeah, Starship Commander. That's a great example of how NLP is making games super immersive.
I bet being able to control a starship with your voice, that's like living out every sci-fi fantasy I've ever had.
It really is. And NLP is the key. It lets the game understand what you're saying, interpret your commands, and respond in a way that makes sense.
So cool. But outside of gaming, I'm having a hard time picturing all the ways NLP could be used. It seems like it has so much potential.
It really does. Think about how much of our world revolves around language, both written and spoken.
True. Communication is pretty much everything.
And NLP is all about helping computers understand and process language, which opens up a ton of possibilities. One big area is text analysis.
Okay, break that one down for me. What's text analysis all about?
Imagine having an AI assistant that can read through mountains of text and tell you what's important.
That would be a lifesaver. I feel like I spend half my life reading through reports and emails.
Right. Well, text analysis can do that. It can identify key themes, understand the sentiment behind the words, and even extract specific information.
So it's like having an AI research assistant that can summarize things and pull out the key points.
Exactly. And it's used everywhere. Email filters use it to block spam. Social media companies use it to track trends. Companies use it to analyze customer feedback.
Wow, so it's already a big part of our lives, even if we don't realize it.
Totally. And then there's speech recognition and synthesis, which is all about letting computers understand and generate spoken language. Think about virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa.
Right. You can talk to them and they actually respond. It's crazy how natural it feels sometimes.
It's come a long way. NLP is what powers those interactions. It's also used in dictation software, voice control systems, and even real-time translation services.
Oh, yeah. I love using those translation apps when I travel. It's amazing how they can break down language barriers.
It really is. And it's all thanks to NLP and machine translation. Of course, Azure has a bunch of tools for NLP, too.
Of course it does. I bet there's an Azure service for everything AI-related.
Pretty much. Azure AI Language is the big one for NLP. It has pre-trained models for tasks like text analysis, sentiment analysis, language detection.
And I'm guessing there's a separate one for speech recognition and translation?
You know it. Azure AI Speech for all things speech, and Azure AI Translator for, well, translation. It's a whole NLP party over there on Azure.
It sounds like it. Okay, we've covered computer vision and NLP. What about those other two workloads? Document intelligence and knowledge mining. They kind of blew my mind last time we talked.
They are pretty mind-blowing. Remember how we talked about all that paperwork we deal with?
Ugh, don't remind me.
Well, document intelligence is like the AI solution to that problem.
Tell me more.
It uses a combination of computer vision and NLP to actually understand the content of documents.
So it's not just scanning them and turning them into digital files, it's actually comprehending what's in them.
Exactly. It can extract information, find errors, even connect different documents together.
Wow, so it's like having a superpowered intern who can handle all the tedious paperwork stuff.
Pretty much. And Azure AI Document Intelligence is the tool that makes it happen.
Another Azure service to the rescue. Okay, what about knowledge mining? You described it as being like an AI detective uncovering hidden insights.
That's a good way to put it. Think about all the data we generate every day. Email, social media posts, reports. The list goes on.
It's like a fire hose of information, and most of it just gets lost in the noise.
Exactly. But knowledge mining can sift through all that noise and find those hidden gems, the insights that would take humans forever to uncover.
So it's like finding a needle in a haystack, but the needle is actually valuable information that can make a difference.
You got it. And Azure AI Search is a powerful tool for making all that discovered knowledge searchable and accessible.
This is all so incredible. We've covered so much ground already, but I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what's possible with AI.
We definitely have. And we haven't even gotten to the really mind-bending stuff yet.
Oh, there's more. I'm almost afraid to ask.
We've still got generative AI to explore. That's where things get really interesting.
All right, bring on the mind-bending stuff. What's so special about generative AI?
It's not just about analyzing existing data anymore. It's about creating new stuff. Think AI writing stories, composing music, designing websites, even generating realistic images and videos.
Whoa, okay, now that is next level. I'm having a hard time even imagining what that means for the future of creativity and innovation.
It's a whole new world of possibilities.
Mm.
And Azure OpenAI is the platform that's making it happen. It gives developers access to incredibly powerful AI models that can generate all sorts of creative content.
This is also exciting, but I have to ask, are there any downsides to all this? I mean, AI seems so powerful, it feels like it could easily be misused.
That's a really important question and one we need to talk about.
Yeah.
As with any powerful technology, there's a responsibility to use AI ethically and for good.
Okay, let's talk about that. What are some of the potential downsides of AI? What do we need to be careful about?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is bias. If an AI system is trained on biased data, it can perpetuate those biases and lead to unfair outcomes.
Right, like if an AI system used for hiring is trained on data that reflects existing gender or racial biases in the workplace, it could end up discriminating against certain groups of people.
Exactly. So it's crucial to use diverse data sets and carefully test these systems to make sure they're making fair decisions.
Fairness is definitely a huge issue. What about safety? How do we ensure that AI systems are safe and reliable, especially when they're being used in high-stakes situations?
That's a critical concern, especially for things like self-driving cars or AI used in healthcare. These systems need to be rigorously tested and monitored to ensure they operate safely and don't cause harm.
It's like the difference between a calculator making a minor math error and a self-driving car causing an accident. The stakes are way higher in some applications.
Exactly. And then there's the whole issue of data privacy and security. AI systems often rely on huge amounts of data, and that data needs to be protected.
Right. We've all heard those horror stories about data breaches and identity theft.
It's a real concern. So building in strong security measures is essential. Encryption, secure storage, access controls, all that good stuff.
Makes sense. What other potential downsides are there?
Well, there's the economic impact to consider. As AI gets more sophisticated, it could automate a lot of jobs currently done by humans.
The whole robots taking our jobs scenario.
It's a real possibility. So we need to start thinking about how to adapt to these changes and ensure that everyone benefits from AI, not just a select few.
These are all really important points. It sounds like we need to be very thoughtful about how we develop and deploy AI.
Absolutely. It's a powerful tool, but we need to use it wisely and responsibly.
Well, I think this deep dive has given us a great overview of the different types of AI workloads and their applications. We've explored everything from computer vision and natural language processing to document intelligence and knowledge mining. And we started to touch on the important considerations around responsible AI development.
It's been a great exploration so far, but there's still more to discuss. We need to dive deeper into those responsible AI principles and see how they're being put into practice in the real world.
Okay, I'm ready for more. Let's continue this fascinating conversation in our next segment. Okay, so we've talked about all these incredible AI workloads, like they can do almost anything.
It is pretty mind-blowing, right?
But like we said last time, with great power comes great responsibility. We got to make sure it's being used for good.
Absolutely. Can't just ignore the ethical side of things.
Right, so let's dive into that. Responsible AI. You mentioned that Microsoft has some guidelines for AI development.
Yeah, they have these 6 core principles for responsible AI. Fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability.
6 principles. Okay. Can you give me an example of how those actually work in the real world? Like, how do you put those principles into practice?
Sure. Let's take fairness, for example. That's all about making sure AI systems don't discriminate against anyone.
Makes sense. So, like, if a company is using AI to screen job applicants, How do you make sure it's being fair to everyone?
That's a great example. You have to be super careful. The system isn't biased against certain groups of people, like based on gender, race, age, that kind of thing.
Right, because if the data it's trained on is biased, the AI will just learn those biases.
Exactly. So you have to think about things like using diverse data sets to train the AI and constantly testing and monitoring it to make sure it's making fair decisions.
Okay, that makes sense for fairness. What about reliability and safety? How do you make sure an AI system is going to do what it's supposed to do consistently and safely?
That's a big one, especially when you're talking about AI making decisions that could have real-world consequences. Think like self-driving cars or AI used in healthcare.
Right, the stakes are much higher in those situations.
Exactly. You need to make sure those systems are super reliable, thoroughly tested to handle all sorts of situations, and constantly monitored to make sure they're operating safely.
Okay, so reliability and safety is all about making sure the AI works properly. What about privacy and security?
That's huge, too. AI systems often use a ton of data, and some of that data can be pretty sensitive.
Yeah, like personal information, medical records, financial stuff. You don't want that getting into the wrong hands.
Exactly. So developers need to build strong security measures into those systems. Encryption, secure storage, strict access controls, all of that is super important.
It's like putting a digital lock on all that sensitive data.
Pretty much. Okay, now let's talk about inclusiveness. That one's all about making sure AI systems work for everyone.
So no one gets left out.
Exactly. Regardless of their abilities or disabilities. Think about a voice-controlled assistant. If someone can't speak, they should still be able to use it.
Right, maybe they could type commands or something.
Exactly. Or a facial recognition system.
Yeah.
It should be able to recognize people with different facial features. Inclusiveness is about making sure these technologies are accessible to everyone.
Makes sense. Okay, what about transparency? What does that mean in the context of AI?
Transparency is all about understanding how the AI system works, why it's making the decisions it's making.
Because sometimes AI can feel like a black box. Data goes in, answers come out, but you don't know what's happening in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. So transparency is about making the inner workings of the AI more understandable, whether it's through clear documentation, visualizations, or just simple explanations. The more we understand how AI works, the more we can trust it.
I see. Transparency builds trust. Okay, and last but not least, accountability.
Right. This one's about responsibility. Who's responsible when an AI system makes a mistake or causes harm?
That's a tough one. It's not always clear who's at fault.
It's not, but it's a question we need to be asking, especially as AI gets more and more complex. Accountability means having clear lines of responsibility, having processes in place to deal with negative outcomes, and holding people accountable for their actions, even when AI is involved.
That's a lot to think about.
It is. But these principles, they're really important for guiding AI development in a positive direction. It's not just about the tech, it's about the impact it has on people's lives.
So, how are these principles actually being applied? Can you give me some real-world examples?
Sure. Take healthcare, for instance. There's a lot of buzz about using AI to diagnose diseases, catching things early, improving accuracy.
Right, we touched on that earlier. It sounds super promising.
It is. But we have to make sure these AI-powered diagnostic tools are developed and used responsibly. That means training them on diverse data, representing the whole population, testing them rigorously for accuracy and bias, and making sure patients understand how AI is being used in their diagnosis.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about how it's integrated into the real world and the impact it has on people.
Exactly. And we see similar things happening in education. AI could be used to personalize learning, tailoring content to each student's needs, providing more targeted feedback.
That would be amazing.
It could be revolutionary. But again, we have to be careful about bias in the algorithms. Make sure they're not unfairly advantaging certain students, and be transparent with students about how AI is being used in their education. It's about empowering them, not controlling them.
So ultimately, responsible AI is about using this powerful technology for good.
Exactly. Making sure it benefits everyone, not just a select few.
This whole discussion has been incredibly eye-opening. I feel like I have a much better understanding of not just what AI is, but also how we can use it responsibly.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a fascinating field, and it's evolving so rapidly.
It really is. Well, this deep dive has been amazing. We've learned about all these incredible AI workloads, explored some real-world applications, and talked about the importance of responsible AI development. Thanks so much for taking us on this journey.
It's been my pleasure. Always happy to geek out about AI.
I think our listeners are geeking out right along with us. And that's a wrap for this deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the exciting world of AI with us, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating tech adventure.